Jan Błachowicz, champion of the world. I don't know if anybody has ever sat down and explained to him how this works moving forward. There's multiple things that are happening at once. Okay, first off, for Jan to be the same guy he is today as he was the day that he woke up a boy with a dream that had come true is very important. But in my message, I must tell you, I don't want his head to get any bigger or for him to go out and change things and make mistakes that other athletes have done. I want him to use this as a springboard to propel himself even further forward. Things are still different, right? When you're the champion, people call you out. You take your oars out of the water for just a minute. You let people speculate. There's nothing more powerful in the world of marketing than speculation. If you can force somebody to speculate by not giving them any information, that can be very helpful. And as soon as that starts to die down, then boom, now you got to talk. But it's still this conversation in a very strange way that goes back and forth. And when the voices are loud, don't say anything that silences them. Don't change the topic until those voices start to get a little bit softer. Then you got to shine that light back nice and bright. Okay. He first calls out Jon Jones. Now, he was high. He was high on adrenaline and excitement. I am making way too big of a point of this. That was his moment to do with whatever he wanted. It just irritated me to see that happen because you're looking at the guy that they just put 12 pounds of gold around, stopping the guy that the former champ Jon Jones left the division to not have to face a second time. You're in a very good spot. But the narrative going into that fight, as he's well aware, was that whoever wins this is going to be a placeholder until Jon Jones comes back, or until Jon Jones gains so much weight that we realistically do not believe that he can be returning. And it's extremely unfair to those guys, but we know that it's true because we already saw it happen once to Daniel Cormier. When Jon Jones was sitting in the principal's office, Daniel goes on and becomes the champion of the world. Hard fights. Rumble Johnson went out and defended that thing. Gustafsson, really hard lifting that Daniel did. And people put a little asterisk next to it because he wasn't the real champion because Jon was there. And then when Jon came back and Jon beat him, then that helped to solidify that for those people. It was very cold, but it was still this reality of just what had happened. So for Jon to grab the championship, follow the golden rule, which whoever has the gold rules, and then to relinquish that power on the spot by calling out Jon Jones was just very tough to see. He first called for a fight that he couldn't get, but he second then called for it. He's the champion. He just called out a non-champion. Why? He never said. He never said why. And that's always the problem with guys in their storytelling. Of the 5 W's, they always leave one off. And in this case, it was what? Why do you want to fight Jon Jones? You are now the champion. He is not. Now, this isn't to say that a champion can't ever call anybody out. Izzy Adesanya has rewritten the book on that and will never leave the ring without lining up tomorrow's work. But there's also a way that he does it, and he does it from a position of power. This is who I am. I have a golden ticket. I'm going to hand it to somebody. Might be because I don't like you. It might even be Jared Cannonier because I do like you. I respect you. I've seen what you've done. I think you deserve the shot. Okay. Don't tell me that storyline doesn't work because we watched Nate Diaz do that to Masvidal. One gangster calls out another gangster, but openly says, I've followed your career and you've had to do the same stuff that I've had to do and not gotten your respect. I'm now up in the loft and I get to bring somebody up here with me and I'm going to extend this to you. Sold out Madison Square Garden. The president showed up. The Rock was, don't tell me that doesn't work. All right. We give Błachowicz a pass because he was high and he did have an adrenaline and he wanted to show his courage by calling out the greatest to have ever done it in that weight class. We give him a pass. He digresses a little bit. He gets on a plane. He flies to Poland. He gets this wonderful hero's welcome. Warmed my heart to see these people fill up the airport and they're taking pictures and they're chanting just out of countryman pride. It was so cool to see. He then decides to get up and call out Daniel Cormier. So he calls out first a guy who has left the division, and then he calls out a guy who has left the sport. And you're sitting back wondering why, and what are we doing here? And attention is a drug. You have to have more of it when it goes away. So whenever there's something known as a post-fight depression, and it doesn't matter if you win or lose. It's just a reality. It's basic biology. Anything that is red hot can only cool off, right? It can't get any hotter. And that's kind of what that fight is. Everything's built around it. Everything's built towards it. Your own bubble, but now even outside attention, your social media, your phone's going off. Everybody wants to be around you. The second it's over, that all goes away. It just does. So there's kind of this little bit of a lull. And so it's a very hard, you have to be very disciplined to take your oars out of the water. Let whoever's next have the shine in the spot. Take yourself out of it. And when guys fail to do that, when they have to get a little bit of run or a little bit of rub, even if it comes from strangers in the form of a tweet or a post somewhere, just to get that little bit of drug that they need, they'll go out and say things that just don't make any level of sense. And now you're handing away power. Adesanya would never hand power away. Now, Conor did it in a very different way. Conor didn't call people out. He turned them away. He shooed them. I'm going to leave the division. In fact, I'm going to leave the sport. Beg me. But you still see where it came from a position of power. Błachowicz, you are now the champion. Jon Jones can get in line. He could even come to the front of the line, but make no mistake, the line is over here. Big guys line up, little guys gang up. However you want to do this, but I am the man. Come to me. Meet my terms. Calls out Jon Jones, realizes the mistake that was, then he calls out Daniel. You see the problem.